Hello everyone, and welcome to an entirely new room. If you watched my last video, you will have noticed that the introduction was completely cut out, and the reason for that was because the introduction was so excessive that it ended up with both my mic and my living room door breaking. So there was a lot of swearing as a result of that, and it had to be cut because quite frankly, I like my videos monetized. So we're gonna start filming in my office for the immediate future. It's where I stream on Twitch. This mic is part of my streaming setup, so are the lights. I edit behind me here. My Twitch is here, by the way, if you want to come along and hang out during a stream. It'd be great to see you guys there. We're just gonna have to vibe in here for a bit because I'm not buying another mic. Over the last few months on my channel, I've been running a series called Project Period, and the aim of this series was just to kind of try all the new kind of alternative period products that exist on the market, because for so long people with periods have been peddled tampons and pads, and that was it. That was their only viable option, and that kind of sucked. So far, I've filmed 2 videos like this. I've filmed the reusable period cup video and also the reusable period underwear video. So far, they've both been incredibly successful. I now don't use traditional tampons and pads at all. Those 2 products have quite literally revolutionized my periods. But I recently realized that there had been one major product that I had completely neglected to try, and this product was reusable sanitary pads. Boom! Sanitary pads are one of the most popular forms of period product, mainly because they don't give the user a risk of toxic shock syndrome. But they're also highly popular in a younger demographic because a lot of those people aren't quite ready to try tampons yet. Not to mention, tampons and period cups, because of their fiddly nature, they're not as accessible to everyone. So whilst they did try the period underwear, and that was great for people who didn't want to, you know, sail a canoe up the river, they're incredibly expensive. The average pair of underwear on SheThinks is around £25, but this underwear can go up to 40. That was the biggest criticism I had of period underwear. Their price point made them incredibly inaccessible to people from lower income backgrounds or people who just didn't have the spare cash to be splashing out 40 quid on a pair of panties. God, I hate that word. So that's one of the main reasons why for this video, not only did I want to get reusable pads, I wanted to get reusable pads within an affordable price bracket. And apparently, after a bit of research, the best place for that was Amazon. I ordered the Lilly reusable sanitary pads. There are 6 in this box, 3 medium pads and 3 heavy pads, as well as 2 waterproof pouches for which you can store your used pads in when you are done with them. These were the best selling reusable period pads on Amazon at the time. They are reusable, super absorbent, waterproof, gentle and soft, eco-friendly and money-saving. Hello everyone, it is I, editing Ellbat, and her bowl of ravioli. Is that ravioli? Or is it tortellini? Italians, don't come for me. I'm uneducated in the ways of pasta. I just wanted to very quickly say that I just checked the price of these particular pads and they have actually gone up in price, but I believe I paid around £16 and these are now 22. However, I did find a company that sells essentially the exact same pads, but for much cheaper. So they're called Rovtop and they offer a box of 12 for £24.99, and they're also available on Prime, and these ones are Amazon's best sellers now. So if you're interested, I would suggest getting them because I'm pretty sure they're the exact same and they work out cheaper per pad than these ones, which are now more expensive than when I paid for them. See ya! So how do reusable pads work? So you use the pad just like any other pad, and once you're done, instead of throwing it away like a traditional pad, you just put it in the washing machine. Pop in a bit of, you know, washing machine juice, and voila, clean period pads. So on paper, these look incredible, but how great are they really in practice? But before I show you guys what happened when I tried reusable period pads for a week, I thought we'd just take a minute, you know, uno momento, to show some love and appreciation to the wonderful sponsors of this video. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Integration Station, formerly known as the Integration Corner, before I realised that it's not actually a corner. You may have noticed that I'm dressed considerably better than usual, and the reason for this is because we are welcoming a new sponsor to the channel. Thank you very much to Function of Beauty for sponsoring this video. So Function of Beauty offer completely customized hair care, literally customized to the color that you prefer. So you start by taking a hair quiz, and I don't know about you guys, but quizzes are fun. I love a good quiz. So I started by saying, you know, I have curly hair, medium thickness, and my scalp is normal. They also ask you to select 5 hair goals, and I went for replenishment, strengthen, volumize, anti-frizz, and curl definition. And then they move on to like what kind of fragrance you'd prefer. I genuinely sat there for about 25 minutes, stuck between eucalyptus and mint, and apples and pears. One of the toughest decisions I ever made in my life. They also ask you what colour you'd like for each bottle, and I went for seafoam green and blue. I feel like they look very nice together. These are the Romeo and Juliet of the shampoo and conditioner world. This might be because as a child I could never find keyrings with my actual name on, and so now I get unhealthily attached to anything that has my name on. I'm very excited about the fact that you get to put your name on these bottles. I'm emotionally attached to my shampoo. I've been using this set for a couple of weeks now, and honestly, sponsored or not, this is the best shampoo I've ever used. When this arrived, it was packaged so prettily that I put it straight on my Instagram story, and I received several DMs from my home friends saying that they use Function of Beauty and they would never buy an off-the-shelf conditioner and shampoo again. I have noticed that my hair smells better, it looks healthier, my curls have more life in them now. Just when you think they couldn't get any better. 100% vegan and cruelty free. There are no parabens, sulfates, GMOs, or toxins at all. And because I love them so much, I did a little bit of negotiating, right? That's why the blazer's out. That law degree that I didn't get, I really put it to work here, and I negotiated a banging deal. You could get 20% off your first custom order by clicking the link in the description. 20%. 20%. And also a little fun factoid for you, you know, help you win at a pub quiz. I didn't do the maths on this. It says here that because of the number of customizable options that they have, there are 54 trillion possible combinations. 54 trillion. So there really is something for everyone. In fact, no, there's more than something for everyone, because I'm pretty sure there's only 6 billion people. Click the link in the description, get 20% off. Thank you, Function of Beauty. I love you. Right, please ignore the fact that I look like death. I'm about to get my period, so I think that about explains it. These bad boys have just arrived. I'm quite excited about these because I'm not really a big pad user, so I'm thinking maybe these will convert me, you know? Maybe this will be a whole, you know, take me to church moment. It's raining period pads, everyone. Oh, that's kind of cute. Oh, they have a little popper. A little bit of period ASMR, anyone? So I have 3 heavy pads here and 3 medium pads, but how do you tell them apart? Because they all kind of look the same. Oh, right, she's got it. Call me Sherlock. The heavy ones are longer, like quite significantly. There's quite a big size difference there. So this medium one looks more like the kind of thing that you would expect from like a traditional period pad, whereas this looks like a night pad to me. But in the interest of making this like a better review for my heavy period humans, I'm gonna wear this heavy pad in the day, one day, and then in the night as well. Oh, they are a bit thick, aren't they? The heavy one is, I would say, probably double the thickness. This feels pretty hefty, I won't lie. There's a lot of girth on this. Quite a thick pad. Like, I don't think I was expecting it to be quite so soft. Don't really want to get known as that girl who strokes her period pads, but there we are. It kind of just feels like a furry version of a traditional period pad. Like, traditional period pad meets Furby. There's kind of like this weird, it kind of feels like waterproof fabric. If you've ever had waterproof trousers, that's kind of how the back of this feels, which makes sense, I guess, because if you bleed onto it, they need to have some kind of lining that's not completely soft and fabric. The heavy pad also has 2 poppers, whereas the medium one only has 1, and I'm assuming that that's because this is slightly longer, so you may need to do it up a bit tighter maybe. It also came with this little pouch thing. It has this kind of like waterproof lining on the inside, so I'm assuming that this is where you store your pads when you're not using them, to kind of, you know, protect them from dust, and then when you've used them, you can just seal them away in here until you can wash them. Right, okay, I'm gonna fold these away now and just wait for my period to arrive, which, you know, looking at my internal period clock here, is probably going to be in about 45 minutes. Thing is, I can already tell a slight disadvantage with these is because they're made of fabric, they are quite thick. Like, you can see this bag has 6 of them in, and it's already, he is a little girthy. Right, so I've just got my period and I've put on the heavy pad because I said I would try that for the first day. It is very noticeable that it's there, just from a wearer's perspective. I don't know if you can see it, but you can definitely feel it. It is very long. It kind of feels like it's nearing the hem of my trousers, if I'm honest with you. Much further up than I need it, but it is exceptionally soft. It does kind of feel like my hoo-ha's getting a little hug, like a warm embrace. If you've ever had like a soft thermal jumper, I feel like this is the vagina equivalent. I'm not sure you could get away with wearing super tight clothing with this, if I'm honest with you. I don't think you'll have this problem with the medium pad because that one looks just so much smaller. I don't think it being noticeable is going to be an issue, whereas this one is quite thick, which I think contributes to how much it sticks out and also the length as well, so it's just that bit more noticeable. But initial impressions, very, very comfortable. I already prefer this to traditional pads. It feels like it kind of moves with me rather than kind of moving against me kind of thing. It kind of feels like it's kind of molded to me a bit, so it feels much more natural when I'm moving around, kind of like how underwear does, rather than how a traditional pad does. Also, I apologise if you could hear the wind throughout the whole of this thing. It's kind of a storm going on right now. I don't know, it's some pathetic fallacy. So I'm gonna wear this for the rest of the day and I'll let you know. I think potentially because I had become so adjusted to how thin the She Thinks period underwear was, I wasn't prepared for how thick this was gonna be. So it's about 4 o'clock now. It's already dark outside because welcome to English winter. I am just eating M&Ms and trying to do work, but if I'm honest, it's about 98% YouTube videos. I haven't done masses of movement today, I'm not gonna lie to you. What do you expect from me? I did briefly kind of clean the bathroom, and something that I did kind of notice is that this pad kind of, I don't really know how to explain it. It kind of moves a little bit. It might just be because I'm not used to having a longer pad during the day where I'm moving. I mainly have only worn these kinds of length pads during nighttime. After I kind of noticed it moving a bit, I did put it up onto the second popper, the like tighter one, and it did actually make a bit of a difference. I don't think that'll be an issue with the medium-sized one, so I'm not too concerned about it. I don't think it's that much of a negative. It's going pretty well. I mean, we're not so sure about the reusable aspect yet. I haven't tried washing them, obviously, because I'm still wearing them, but I will let you know how that goes. I'm gonna wear another heavy one tonight, just to see how it fares up overnight, but hopefully it will continue being good. I'm quite impressed thus far. During the first day wearing them, something that I noticed pretty much straight away was that because the pads were so long and they didn't have any kind of stickiness on the bottom like traditional pads do, the one popper that was securing them wasn't really enough to hold them in place. They didn't move around so much that like I was just straight bleeding onto my underwear. It just felt like the ends weren't as supported as they could be because of the sheer length of the pad. But for me, these were suitable as night pads or pads that I would use on a day for my period where I wasn't going to go anywhere. If I was just going to sit and watch Netflix all day, this would be perfect because it feels like a hug for your hoo-ha. It's very, very soft and super, super comfortable, so you do feel secure in them, and at night it is really lovely to have that kind of support. Even though I decided to use them as night pads, I did decide that what I would do is I would wear them kind of an hour before bed, and during that kind of like 20 minutes after you first get up, that it's like Niagara Falls but Tarantino edition. You know what I'm talking about. And these pads, they did really good. Right, I'm back. It is the morning. Time hath passed. I don't know what's going on. Quick update on the whole pad. It moved a lot. I mean, it didn't move like away, so we weren't in any we weren't in a tricky situation, but it did move a lot in the night and I felt like I had to keep readjusting it. It never really moved from like the base bit, like the bit that actually matters, that, you know, is acting as the ball catcher in this situation, but it did move on the longer tail bit. It was like trying to constantly pull a wedgie out, but a wedgie on like the side of your ass. It was also quite hot, like it was very warm. It's almost like a little blanket, just for your hoo-ha. Even though it is a little bit hotter than a regular pad, it is more comfortable and it doesn't like crinkle and feel all plasticky and gross. So it's got some plus points there, some major plusage. Right, so I'm gonna change this one and wash this one now and put a new one on, and we're gonna just go about our day doing our daily activities, and we'll see how it goes. With my last period underwear video, I didn't include the washing process, and a lot of people were quite upset, and they were like, wait, how do you clean them? So when you've used one of these pads, there are two options. You can either rinse it under cold water or leave it to soak in cold water overnight. I personally rinsed it because I just know that I would forget about it, and in the morning I'd wake up to a sink full of blood and just be very, very confused. Once you rinse them, you can put them in the washing machine with other dark clothes and just wash them warm. Don't use fabric softener though, because it can ruin the absorbency of the pad. Once you've washed them, you can either tumble dry them on a low heat or just leave them to hang dry. I machine washed my ones and I left them to hang dry, and I used them again after that and they were perfect. In fact, if anything, they felt softer. The washing process for these is so easy and convenient. I have to give them just extra creds because no one can be bothered to do like a hand wash just for one pair of period underwear or something like that. Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to day 4 of my bleeding cycle. Please ignore the dying plant next to me. I've really been trying everything and yet he still continues to die. I almost feel bad for watering him at this point because I feel like I'm prolonging his suffering. I don't even know what I'm doing wrong. Like, I even bought like a little humidifier for him and he's still dying. So on the second day of my period, I swapped from using the long heavy pads as a day pad to using the medium pads, and straight away I was so much more comfortable. It is exceptionally comfortable. I don't know if they necessarily have the same capacity as a traditional pad, but I didn't notice that I was having to change them like loads more, so it was just like a small amount. But I think, to be honest, the comfort that you get from using a fabric pad massively outweighs, you know, the really tiny extended duration you get from wearing like a plasticky pad. I mentioned on the first day that I was concerned about, you know, whether or not you could see the longer pad. I didn't try the longer pad on with any other outfits other than trackies because I'm on my period. Do you expect me to get dressed? But the medium pad I have worn with trackies, I've worn them with jeans, and you couldn't see them at all. There was no issue with that. It kind of just functioned like a regular pad. It fit in nicely, couldn't see it, vibing. But I looked on the Amazon reviews, and for the longer pads there were a couple of people that said that they could get away with wearing jeans with them and it wasn't a problem, and you couldn't see it, which is pretty cool. Not that being able to see a pad is necessarily like gross or anything. I just think that I knew that when I was younger I was very self-conscious about it, so I'd at least like to be able to offer you some information on that aspect. I'd love to hear what your guys' experiences were with like navigating periods and school, because I just remember it just being a nightmare. And what was up with teachers when you'd say like, can I go to the bathroom? Them saying no. Surely that's a human rights violation. Like, okay, I guess I'll just sit here and just free bleed all over your chair then. Oh, I also realised you can roll the pads up and use the poppers to secure them, so they end up being much more compressed than how I originally put them in that little wash bag thing, because I did say, you know, I was concerned by how thick they were. They can roll up smaller. My brain just doesn't work. So that's another thing, that because the pads are so absorbent, at no point did you feel like the blood kind of just sat on the pad, which is really nice, because I remembered like very vividly with the other pads, when they got full up, it just kind of felt like the blood just sat on top of the pad. Whereas with this, because one, it's kind of a dark colour, you don't really see the blood as much, and two, it really does kind of sink in, so it doesn't feel like it kind of sits on the top and kind of just stays there. It feels like there's more, you know, there's more absorbency. So overall, when I use these pads, particularly in that period in the morning where you wake up and it's the rivers are flowing, I felt a lot cleaner when I was wearing them just because of the level of absorbency that they had. Obviously when they do get full, you do start to notice that it feels a bit damp, but even then it doesn't feel the same as when a traditional pad gets full. It just overall felt a lot more hygienic. I'm gonna finish my coffee now and Google how to resurrect him for the 4th time. Look at him, he's so sad, man. Right, overall, for the price point, I think that these are incredible, to be honest with you. The varying sizes and lengths worked very well as day and night pads for me. The fact that they have a popper to secure the pad makes them incredibly easy to get on and off. Yes, they are a little bit thicker than a traditional day pad, but I think the fact that they are so soft makes up for that. It does really feel like your hoo-ha's getting a hug. I also feel like they're a lot more flexible than regular pads, which means they're less uncomfortable overall. I remember very distinctly having a lot of times where my pad would kind of just fit kind of wrong, and you'd feel like it was kind of angled wrong and you'd have to kind of like subtly readjust it. Whereas with the medium pad, when I was wearing it in the day, it felt like it molded to me more and it moved with me rather than potentially moving against me, which I have to say is a massive positive. For the price point, I do think these are great quality. They work very well for the purpose that, you know, you need them for. They're comfortable, they're very soft, they're reusable, so they save you money in the long run. Better for the environment, you don't have plastic rubbing up against you, getting way too close and personal. And you know what, they just feel good. Whilst I still prefer to use my period cup during the day, at night, I think I will start using this. For a pair of reusable pads that I bought on Amazon, I really think these are great. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Would you try these? Have you already tried these? Are you a committed reusable period pad owner? Also, feel free to let me know down below if you have any other weird and wacky period products that you'd like me to try out. I do really enjoy these. I think information is power, and the more information we give to people on the options that are available, the more opportunity people have to find something that works better for them and works better for the environment, and I think that's great. If you enjoyed this video, give it a cheeky little thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. It's a free world, you do you boo, and I will see you lovely lot next week. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get 20% off Function of Beauty. Like I said, I adore them, and I know you will. Plus they got a quiz. Again, who doesn't love a quiz? Kisses to you.